All right, let's get started learning about the different types of characters. The first type of character we have are round characters. These characters are well developed. We know a lot about them. And our main characters, our hero, heroine, protagonist, and our villain or antagonist are round characters. Take, for instance, Superman and Lois Lane. We know their backstory, that Superman came from another planet. He was sent here in some sort of pod and discovered by this couple that lives on a farm. We know that kryptonite is his weakness. We know that he works at the newspaper as Clark Kent during the day, and then he takes his disguise, his glasses off, and he's Superman. So we know a lot about him. Same with Lois Lane. We know she works for the newspaper, and she's kind of the main journalist that covers the stories about Superman. So they are well-rounded. We know a lot about them. The second type of character we have is flat characters. Underdeveloped, little is known about them, and they are not main characters. So while we know a lot about Superman and Lois Lane, we may not know a lot about their boss at the newspaper. He is just there maybe to come out and give them an assignment, and then he leaves. We don't know who he's married to or if he's married. We don't know what his backstory is. We don't know anything about him except that he's their boss. So he's flat. He's underdeveloped. And then so remember, round characters, well-developed, round and well-developed, flat, underdeveloped. So think about that when you're creating your stories, because you don't want to spend a lot of time on flat characters that don't matter, describing things about them that don't matter. You want to spend your time developing your main characters and your round characters. All right, let's go to the next two types of characters that we have in a story. We have static characters and dynamic characters. So static characters stay the same throughout the entire story. An example of a static character would be the Wicked Witch from The Wizard of Oz. She started out wicked and she ended wicked. She never changed throughout the entire story. The second type of character we have are dynamic characters. These characters change in some way from the beginning to the end of the story. It might be physical, but it's usually something more like their character, their values, something like that. Their philosophies change from the beginning to the end. So Dorothy would be a good example of this. In the beginning of The Wizard of Oz, she's unhappy and discontent in Kansas, and she's singing "Somewhere Over the Rainbow, I Want to Go Somewhere Else." And then at the end of the story, she's clicking her heels together and saying, "There's no place like home, and I love you, Auntie Em," and she loves her home and appreciates her family. So she goes from being discontent and unhappy to content and happy. So she's a dynamic character. So those are our types of characters you can think about as you develop your story. And make sure you watch the last video on point of view.